Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
My name's Cory Strassburger, and I come from a long career in visual effects. And one day, a couple years ago, my buddy and I, we were spending time doing augmented reality, and we were out pitching studios. We were creating these cool little cinematic things, and we're applying our ideas in cinema, our ideas in filmmaking, and our abilities to create these really cool 3D environments. We're putting it into these little miniature worlds. And one day he shows up with the Oculus Rift prototype, and my world sort of flipped upside down, as a lot of you guys know who have jumped into it. As a creator, this technology suddenly to me was a place where everything that I love to do, from programming to creating worlds to characters to telling stories to building architecture, was like suddenly all right there, like with unlimited possibility of like from a financial standpoint, I could build anything without having to physically build anything. I could defy reality. I could so it opened up all these doors for me. And immediately, everything else wasn't going to be exciting enough for us. So we started a company called Kite+Lightning, and our focus was we want to take all the love and passion we have for movies, the magic of movies, and our love for interactivity and just making new and interesting experiences for people, and apply it to this new technology. And so what I want to do real quick is kind of run you guys through the VR experiences we've created. So we're on to number 7 right now. And back to really when we first tried on the Oculus and we were out pitching sort of augmented reality stuff, we had an opportunity to pitch to Warner Brothers some AR stuff. Suddenly we were like, hey, we have a week, let's make our first VR experience. And let's make this sort of cool back cave, and we'll pitch them on some Comic-Con thing. So we dove in, and we learned a lot of interesting things. One of them, for me, that was a shocker was, as a 3D artist, you build these worlds and you have this sort of 2D relationship to it. And suddenly I'm inside this thing that I made, and my memory of it is like spatial. Like suddenly I remember it as a place. And so that was pretty phenomenal for me. So then we kind of jumped into our next experience, which was, this was a lot of fun. We discovered early on that people just getting into VR for the first time needed this moment to like acclimate, right? They were like, holy cow, this is amazing. And so whatever narrative or whatever thing you were trying to get them to experience was just kind of getting blown past. So I thought, what if we make like a title sequence that was spatial in VR? And this kind of came about as our Hugo meets the Fifth Element, and it was kind of like this sense of travel. Let's get them in a place they can experience VR, they can acclimate to it, and then they get on this the K&L Express, and it takes them to this the amazing experience that we really want them to have. So it's kind of like a primer, or at least that was the theory. It was also a big thing for us going all the way back to AR was how do we get the human element into these experiences. And there's a couple ways to go about it, and you just saw how they did that for Sleepy Hollow, which is very similar to what we did here. We shot stereoscopically, and it's an old VFX billboard trick that in VR worked remarkably well. And so we got really excited about, okay, here's another tool that we can use for telling stories. And beyond that, we've spent a lot of time. So the more elaborate approach, which is still a bit of ways off, is capturing a human being and then capturing them in motion, which is kind of the holy grail for movie effects as well, but also in VR and AR, to be able to move around the characters and the performers interactively like you would in real life. And so we've done a lot of work in this field. I got my buddies at Red to lend me a car full of their cameras so that we could try to do this, like capture facial performances in motion, like high quality. So we've been writing a lot of really amazing software. My partner in all this, Akrima, he comes from VFX as well. He's on the coding side. He's bloody genius, and you know, you give him these tasks, he sits down, and suddenly he's making like the impossible work, you know. And so it's a real exciting moment for us, because the notion of being able to pull in that living, breathing human, and when you're standing face to face in VR with something that's photographic, it's incredibly powerful. And the difference between that and like a CG thing, that's something that's off about it, is just like this, you know. You really need the photographic, the expressions, the whole 9 yards. But once you have it, it's really mind-blowing. So the next thing we did, this was kind of a weekend project I took on. This is actually our office. And some of you guys might know Ted Cholowitz over at Fox is laying in there. But I borrowed this thing from a friend. It was called the Genesis, and it was like a music bathing thing. You know, there's like your inside sound, essentially. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. You get all this tactile feedback from the subwoofers and the transducers. And so I made a VR experience out of it that was sort of this, you know, this ethereal, you break out of the office and float through the galaxy, and did some live action in there. But the thing that was fascinating was the tactile feedback was incredible. And it was like, when he was talking about earlier about having the experience built around you in VR and how important that is, I think what it adds a little bit goes a really long way. And so the power of this machine and what people's reactions, people were coming out of here with tears in their eyes, like, you know, there's a moment where the thing rotates vertically and virtually rotates vertically, and people were grabbing onto the side of the thing because they thought they were going to like fall off. But it's a really powerful thing. I would put it on par with any of the biggest, most expensive rides at like Epcot or Disney. It's remarkable, the combination of a few things, how far you can get with it. Obviously with the powerful creative. So Senza Peso, this is our 4th project, and one very near and dear to me. I'm actually going to jump back to this. I want to just skim through the other things really quick, and then I'll kind of go a little bit more in depth on this one. Our 5th project, we're kind of coming out of the lab. You know, our bank accounts are about to be empty, and so we're like, let's do something, a real job. And this was NBC, amazing. They had this chair tour, and they're like, hey, you know, they fell in love with this idea of putting on the Rift and letting people be on the voice, like, you know. And so one of the powers we discovered, so in the experience, you know, you get to sit in Blake's chair, and he's talking to you, and you're next to Pharrell. You're kind of going through a blind audition, blind audition, you know, live in the studio. And one of the things that we found, one of the magics of VR was it makes people do crazy things, right? So these guys wanted to do this, and like after 2 days later, it was their last day of shooting these auditions, and they got us magically in here. We magically kind of hacked together a similar camera, 360 degrees stereoscopic camera, and you know, we're like, hey, this might not work at all, right? And so they're like, all right, well, you guys have one take. You know, everyone wanted to go home. It was the end of the end for them. And so we squeaked out 2 takes. Both takes worked really well. We got it all working, and it turned out to be a really incredible project for them. They got, you know, they toured from New York to the Grove here, and you know, the feedback, the buzz, the social media, all those analytics were there for them, and they were really excited about it. We just finished this week something for GE. They're doing something amazing. They have all these amazing places around the world that they work and operate in that people can't actually experience for obvious reasons. One of them was, you know, 4 miles below the ocean, they build all these subsea machines to basically drill for oil. And so we made a really awesome experience where you get in a submarine and it takes you down to the bottom of the sea, and there's a, you know, narration and all kinds of cool holographic interfaces. I wish I could show this one to you guys. It's pretty awesome. But that was sort of something that just debuted in Brazil, which is where my partner is now, and they had a big convention down there. It was a huge success for them, for what their intentions were. And then now we're actually working on something, you know, for big feature film. we got to shoot all the A-list actors, which was incredibly hard to do. But again, the power of VR was like, you know, it makes people kind of like jump onto this this bandwagon. There's some really amazing things that happen in here. Eventually this will pop out and you guys will get to experience it, but it's a lot of interactivity. When you actually go to watch the movie, you're going to discover that you kind of played a character in it. And we're getting all the assets from the VFX companies, and we have a pretty decent way of making all that stuff still hold true to the quality. So hopefully it'll really feel like you're in this film. All right, so back to Senza Peso. Looks like I have my 5-minute mark. So Senza Peso is 2 parts. It was first a short film that I had made, and it took me like 5 years to do. We had an amazing, actually, I'll show you the trailer, which is really short. I'll give you guys a sense of the film itself. This was a purely passion project, inspired by a friend of mine's piece of music, and everybody kind of came together. An amazing group of people came together. All the musicians became characters. We shot for 5 days, all for free. All these guys just came together to make, have an incredible shoot. My friends built a boat for me, so we got all this stuff in the can, and then it took me. I spent about 3 years of just making these worlds and environments, and that's sort of when VR plopped into my lap, and I had like 4 shots to go, and those shots took me like 2 years to do, and I finished them at the beginning of the year, and I realized, I'm like, here's an awesome opportunity. I've got all these assets, and why not create this situation where you can watch the movie, and then you can go into the movie as the main character and experience the worlds. So this duality seemed really cool to us, and so we basically created Senza Peso VR. It took us about 10 weeks, somewhere around the spring, I think, of this year. It was a huge thing for us because it's kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean on crack. It's on rails in VR terms. You kind of just travel through this world. We included some of our live action stuff, and we call it a mini opera, which is what we were calling the short film. And it's pretty cool. We have it outside. If you guys want to check it out in VR, I highly recommend. It's a pretty awesome experience. And rather than show you just like a screen capture, one of the cool things about VR, I think, and there's a whole group of kids you guys are probably familiar with on YouTube who go through games, and they record themselves going through games, and they've got unbelievable amount of followers, millions of followers, and it's you're just entertained watching them, like these PewDiePies, So one of the things, PewDiePie, who's a big YouTube talent, went through Senza Peso. That movie has like almost 7 million views now. And so there's a bunch of kids that have done it. One of the kids I'm going to show you now is one of my favorites. He's really funny. Not as many views, but it's awesome to see somebody going through your experience and some of their reactions. It's just a really fun thing, and hopefully it doesn't get too annoying for you guys. Because he's
hey, how's it going, YouTube? This is Emart.
Sorry.
Hey, how's it going, YouTube? This is Emart, and we're back with another Oculus Rift demo. Today we have a demo that I'm extremely excited about. It's called Senza Peso. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's spelled Senza Peso, I think. It's supposed to be a 3D virtual movie that you kind of sit through, but it's an opera, I believe. I read some reviews on it. It just came out today, but everyone is raving about it right now, and it's supposed to be incredible. So this one is made by the same company that made K&L Station. If you haven't seen it, I did a review of it. It's right up for here. But yeah, their last demo was incredible, and I've heard this one's good too. So let's jump into it.
I kind of hacked it up a little bit to shorten it.
So far, so good. Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh my gosh! Oh man! You're gonna hear a lot of oh mans in this one, I think. Oh my god! This is incredible! I'm not even joking. Holy shit! There's some demos that you look at, and if you don't own a Rift, you see them on YouTube, and you're like, oh, I'll bet that looks amazing. Some just look like pretty good once you try it on, but ones like this, like I can't describe it. It's just so much better looking than some of the other demos. Than probably all the other demos. Holy fuck! Whoa, hey-oh. I love when when games have you travel through portals like this. Like, I can't describe it. Oh my god. That dude looks so real. Oh my god! This is unbelievable! Holy, am I falling? Oh, hey-oh! Oh, we're just floating off. Oh my god! Oh! It's a real dude's face! Oh, that's so creepy. He's right there. Oh my god, you have no idea how weird this is. That is incredible. This is incredible. It's like he's right there. I've never been this excited in my life about a VR demo. That was so sick. Please don't be over. This is still going. You guys, I am telling you, this is hands down the best Rift demo visually right now. Oh my god! I feel like I'm gonna get a noise complaint from my apartment because I'm yelling so loud. It's still going. This is still going. Look at this. Jesus, here we go. Oh. I've never been this excited about a game in my life, at least a Rift game. Except for when I first got my Rift. That was different. This is... I'm like about to cry. This is so good. Hundreds of feet up. I'm floating right now. I'm trying to help the immersion here. I'll pretend like I'm floating, you know? You guys, this is... Oh my god. I don't want to leave. I honestly, after this review, I'm doing this again. I am doing this one more time. After I turn off this video. That is so sick. Well, I'd say I'm speechless, but I'm not. Like, I'm yelling, but I'm pretty much speechless here, you guys. Oh my god. It's so beautiful. I can't... That's it. It's the only word. It's beautiful.
I think that about
very cool. And so my question about something like this is, commercially speaking, what do you do with a, not with original IP in VR? Are there film festivals? Like, how do you get it out there as a film?
You mean like today?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the funny thing. I think today there really isn't a lot of there's not a lot of outlet for the experience itself, right? It's like either an installation type thing, or it can go out to a small community of VR developers right now, which is in the maybe 100,000+. So outside of videos like that or people experiencing it in a way that's it's fun to watch that, but the difference, his reactions were based on being in it. That's kind of everything.
Yeah.
So
are you hopeful in the longer term that this finds a broader consumer audience
Oh,
somehow?
for sure, yeah. I mean, we're definitely banking on that, and I think that when you really consider that what's possible creatively here, you're almost defining a new type of entertainment, and I think that entertainment will be incredibly sought after, and as it grows and develops and becomes, I think, quickly, I don't want to say perfected, but at least established enough to be a viable, a reliable form of entertainment. I think that it'll definitely be a huge market for that.
I want to key in on two things from earlier. One, the demo where someone was lying down. Just that concept blew my mind, because I never, in all the things I've experienced with VR, read about VR, I never thought about, wait a second, if the body isn't just standing or sitting there, it becomes a different experience. Do you think sort of the, I don't know, movement of the body, the contortion of the body will actually start to be material in these kind of presentations?
Absolutely. One of the funny things about that is, I didn't think that laying down was even going to work because of all these reasons, your head and stuff, but it actually worked really well. And I also put up a Kinect because part of the experiment was I wanted to have a body and I wanted you to be able to interactively have energy and all this stuff. And so I stuck this body, and there was a demo body, so it was a girl. And I got on here and I lay down and I looked down and oh my God, I had this this girl's body. So it was the first time I had a body in VR, and it was really a really crazy feeling. So since then, we've been putting bodies in avatars in that have a certain amount of motion. It makes a difference because it doesn't call this attention to this ghostly feeling.
Yeah.
So it adds a lot, but definitely as VR progresses, the body, the other senses, like all these other things are gonna come into play in a bigger way. But I think it's not really the critical factor in terms of making successful experiences.
Another question was with regard to the voice demo. You mentioned analytics. What did you mean there? What kind of information are you getting back?
I'm not the best person to answer that, but I know, so Giant Spoon is like a branding agency who is between us and NBC, and they have these tools. They have online tools and all kinds of different ways of testing how people responded on Twitter who've seen it, or just some sort of internet tools for figuring out how much buzz it created.
I see. So you were talking about something directly from the experience itself. You just meant externally from that, how the buzz level. Okay.
However, Krima, the other guy, is he loves analytics. He's been building into nothing that we put out yet, but he wants to analyze every motion, everything that people
That's
react
what
to,
I thought you were getting at.
And suck that data back and create some sort of, and he has all these ideas on how to use that data. Obviously, I have things that would mean something to me, but yeah,
That's what I thought, because as you guys in this very nascent art form are trying to figure out the rules of the road, this could be the first kind of art form where data informs the evolution of the art. And I think that's really interesting. Any questions? You, sir, over there.
Yeah, this might be common knowledge, but I don't know. What kind of resolution are you guys producing in the end result? And is it like a 8:1 aspect ratio, or what do you do to...
Yeah, it's hard to tell what the aspect ratio is looking at it this way. Do you mean, so resolution of the Oculus itself?
Yeah, basically your product, whichever way they swing, you have, it seems like quite a bit of X pixels to go.
So the current one right now is 1920 by 1080 split between two eyes.
That's it?
That's it.
So
which was a great improvement from where it came from, and I think that when they first come out with their first consumer model, it's going to be upwards of like early 2K resolution.
Wow. And then is there any major challenges in stitching the plates together, or using Oculus or some other type of?
For the video, yeah, there's a major challenge. It's a massive pain in the ass. Like I wish I had Oculus. I mean, I was in After Effects essentially. I built some tools to try to visualize the cleaning of stereo stitching that got us by. It's decent. You know, you don't see the seams. It's pretty seamless, but if you stare at a seam and you don't know it, you'll start to get a little headache. Let's put it that way. But it's all dark in there, so I think we did a good job of segmenting what you should be looking at, and it hides all those things.
I think he's trying to refer to like when you have source material, when you have like 2D plates of a 360 area, how big is the image that you unwrap onto the sphere?
Well, with our sort of hack GoPro rig, I think we were outputting like 5K like master files. And using Bink, we were playing back, we were experimenting with 4K playback, which we realized the difference between that and 2K was pretty minimal. So, and then a few other things, kind of like performance things, and time was running out. So we just ended up with a 2K video in the end. But 4K would easily run, I think, inside there.
For someone who's been working in this space for a bit, I'm wondering, do you see, I'm seeing that there's interactive applications as well as linear. Do you see both continuing in the future, or do you think it will all go interactive?
I honestly, I kind of hope that both go, you know, because interaction to me is a thing you have to use sparingly, because it's, A, from a work standpoint, forking, it starts to create exponential amount of work, but B, it's a lot of effort, right, over time. So the kickback, sort of enjoy something and just not have to work for it experience, I'd love to continue to have. You know, I mean, we want to explore interactivity on a major scale, but I don't think it's just going to be all interactive. It seems like too much work, you know?
Pretty forking awesome. We have to move on to our next speaker. Thanks.